feeling.
Yeah.
You mentioned practicing until it becomes very, very natural. Are there some tips or tricks that you'd use for practicing? So, for instance, myself, I can't stand practicing in front of a mirror. I just
Hmm.
start to notice certain things that I really don't like, and I start to be more critical than anything if I'm looking at myself at the mirror. So, what I like doing is I like standing up, doing my presentation, walking around, and then making eye contact with all the posters and all the photos that I have around in my room. I lent that advice to one of my clients, and he did something that was kind of weird. He goes, "Oh, great idea!" So he goes and practices, and in his room, he cut out eyeballs
Oh
from the
my God.
magazine, and he just puts eyeballs all over. He's like, "Yeah, I make sure I made contact with every eyeball." I'm like, "To each their own, as long as it works for you." So,
Yeah.
what's something that you do that's unique to you that not many people would actually implement or have implemented?
Well, first of all, I would be as scared as you if I were to practice in front of the mirror. I will be way too self-conscious. I'll be like, oh, my hair is like not proper. Oh no, my facial expression is weird. Like, why am I smiling this way? And at the end of the day, it's crazy because when we're presenting, that's not what we're going to see. We're going to see people. So I think the way that you're practicing with the posters is amazing. If I were to use any posters, I would make sure that those posters, people are smiling in that poster because
Mm,
that would make us feel better. If we're saying a joke, then at least we know that people are laughing. In the worst case, even if they don't laugh, at least we can see their smile. That's one great way. I don't have any posters in my house, so I usually deliver it to my dog, who is usually sleeping. So um I what I do a lot, and there's two parts in my practice. One part is about practicing my vocals and to know where I would use a very strong tonality to make sure that I have that impact on the words that I'm saying. But there's also the other part, which is more about conveying the emotion and how do I transfer my emotion. And for that, I use a lot of visualization. I
mm.
visualized that I was speaking in front of 10 people, in front of 100, in front of 1,000. And I do that before I go to bed. I close my eyes and I just deliver my speech. And sometimes I go, wow, that felt amazing. And it goes the way that you visualize. So I think visualization is one of the most powerful tool that you can use other than um, practicing standing up and actually saying, because it's not always about the words.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I also structure my speech whenever I have a actual structured speech and not necessarily long presentation. Those speeches, I put it into different parts, different so that I can just pick up that part and practice that part. And that you can do it in your car. Just be like, okay, I'm just gonna practice this part about talking about my grandma. I would just practice that.
Yeah.
Or, and that's really good because when you lose track of, oh, what's next? If I can remember, oh, next is about grandma. Okay, then I already know my part.
Mhm.
So having that structure really helps.
Yeah, so important. I think a lot of people miss that aspect of it. They believe, okay, I need to practice from beginning to end, beginning to end, beginning to end. And when they're up there and they miss that one thing here, the whole thing falls apart, and they're not able to pull it back up together because they didn't practice it that way. So that's very, very important
Yeah.
and very, very good for people to know.